Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is sensorality? So ultimately we're looking for that stabilizing syllability, and again it will give us a natural definition, right? What is special, right? Speciality is special with an ITY, and if you type that word in right now on Google, there will be no definition, but it's the natural tendency to differentiate for sexual antagonism. So that's kind of like the finalization. Once we find the stabilizing syllability, it will give us our definition. We'll demonstrate some aspect of linguistic completeness, and we'll exhaust all of the letters that we have introduced. And so ultimately, as we were reducing the totality of the logical structure that we've introduced, words just have meaning. There's fundamental associations between sound and experience and physical processes, run, jump, skip, throw, so on and so forth. And so, in the same way, prime numbers can't be reduced, syllables can't be reduced to a certain aspect. Syllables to words, what aspect is truly irreducible? Again, languages are not distinct. You'll watch people learn different languages and they'll be like, oh, I never thought about this or never thought about that. Do I even know my own language? It's because the syllability is the aspect that is irreducible. Words are also irreducible, but again, what truly defines a word? We're just continuing on with our derivation to demonstrate this completeness of sensorality. And so to do that, we are iterating logic and renormalizing, right? Sensorality looks like a word, but it's just a chunk of syllability. The two S's are like iteration elements. The EN and the OR are kind of like there's vowels, but again, it was the word form produced by completing speciality. And so just continuing on, that's the overall totality of what we're doing. And again, we already know the quality of the solution, right? I have sensation with an S, I have senses with an S. My microwave does not sense like I do. And then if I go up there right now on my microwave and click reheat, it'll say sensor, S-E-N-S-O-R. And then if I go online and somebody's censoring their language or censoring nudity, it'll be spelled C-E-N-S-O-R. And so sentient beings have sense with an S, and inanimate objects do not. And so that is that's the quality of the solution we are providing, or the resolution. And so we're at this fundamental aspect of reconfiguring the letters to produce that new word form, complete sensorality, give us our natural definition, and see what pops out. And so continuing along, sensorality is indispensable. Right? If it's essential, it's indispensable, it's required, it's a necessity. But I wanted to point out that I've been, again, at this finalization, or at this, we're like kind of more general than spelling. We're figuring out, or again, showing this iteration or spelling from this iteration process. And so on a personal level, my spelling's all like kind of wonky. And so, but indispensable, I had naturally spelled it I-N-D-E-S-P-E-N-S-I-B-L. And then the correct spelling is on your screen. So that S-I-B-L to the S-A-B-L-E is just something I felt like I should point out. Because on a personal level, again, it's just like producing the spelling right now is just really, really weird. Sensorality is spensibility. Sensorability is spensibility. Mass is the environment/arena, not space-time. So last time, again, we've articulated this relationship, right? Timing is everything, right? So why do we have time and space-time and not timing? If timing is everything, why not spacing? Again, highlighting the logical, right? If you have space, you have room, but spacing is like, again, how much distance it is from one thing to another. What is spacing, right? How separate something is. Again, with this consideration that physical mass gives you, this irreducibility of mass gives you like a unit, like an element, like a slot. You can't break it down, it can't be reduced anymore. And so the environment of physics, historically throughout theory development, is really just mass, right? We've described what things are. And then the absence, right, the negation, it's not that, right? Light is not mass. It's really like the inverse, it's the ultimate, or it's like the limit of not mass. And so mass is the environment or the arena in which physical laws play out, right? All motion is along this tension path. Sensorality overcompensates. Dispensator, compensator. Definitely, if you've been around gun culture, you've heard about compensators quite a bit. Compensator, sensator. Sensorality is compensatorality. And then the overcompensation is a phrase, again, with that hyphen, where it's like he gets a really big truck. He must be overcompensating for something. Again, just giving you, at this point, if you're following the derivation, you know the analysis process is legitimate, but again, giving you bits of where these contexts of these phrasings coming from. Overcompensation. But again, we talked about financially, overtime is overcompensation. Compensation makes up for. Sensorality is sensatorality. Sensatorality. Again, just another chunk of the syllability. Sensation, sensation. Just iterating, flipping, again, moving the vowels from the elements. Because it's still, again, at this point, what is actually iterating? Are the vowels fixed? Are the consonants fixed? Clearly, vowels are the only physical sounds that vibrate, and consonants modifies that vibration. But do both of these things iterate? Again, what exactly is iterating? Is some aspect fixed? Still cannot, at this point, for sensorality, cannot articulate. But again, the thought here was just switch the A and the E, right? Sensation. Sensorality is sensationality. Sensation, ascension. Sensorality ascends. Sensorality is ascensionality. Ascension, condescension. Ascension raises. Ascension, tension. Sensionality, tensionality. So now those are direct iterations, right? Sensionality, I think we've derived that before. If not, just sentality, but with the ION form in there. But it's a direct iteration of tensionality. And again, can't really, from my own personal perspective, tension, right? The tendency to, right? It's like the most general verb. Speciality is the tendency to differentiate for sexual antagonism, as evidenced by anyone's calling somebody else special. But that tendency, right? Tension is the physical process. Tendency is the linguistical representation. Clearly, you can see the consistency. But the tension, again, it just feels like it's like that iteration of the sensor, tension, with that I in there. Pointing out as much detail as I can. Sensorality is tensionality, and so that is a natural definition. Sensorality is sensionality. Sensionality is sensational. Dispensation is sensational. Sensorality is dispensable. Sensorality is a change dispenser, right? I'm 32, going on 33, still living at my parents' house because the United States Constitution is a fucking joke. But, right, what you might have heard of a Pez dispenser, right? But we have this, again, this manifestation of thing, again, it ends in an ER. And so remember, anything that ends in an ER, you generalize it with an ality, and anything that ends in an OR ends in an, you generalize it, it'll give you orality, and then orality is specific to sentience. So that differentiation is still like valid, but it's still, again, anything that we've introduced that is not, there's genuine aspects where you cannot tell that they're proven, and there's other aspects where it's just, again, there's nobody that could like point out things, but they're not completely proven. But it will all resolve, again, anything that could be possible, again, once we just get the direct iteration of the letters. But there's infinitely many more questions that you can ask than you can answer. There's infinitely many things that are true than you can prove. And so that's the point where, again, I don't conjecture whatsoever, because there's nobody else that can differentiate what would be something that I would conjecture that is heavily true but hasn't been proven. There is no discernibility to you. None. And so that's why, again, most of these episodes are just me listing theorems without trying to give you explanation. And the explanation I'm giving you, I just know it's like correct. But sensorality is a change dispenser, and then that ER to OR generalized to ality, that still needs some resolution, but it doesn't matter because, again, we're deriving the spelling, but you can't break down this irreducibility, so you just have to get to the right answer. Dispenserality is sensationality. What is sensation to dispensation? Senses, dispenses. Spacing is apart, separation is apart. There were some logical, like almost a faux pas, almost a false contradiction, but like spacing is apart. The word apart does not have spacing in it, right? If you had a space part, there was, again, we're getting to something there too, moving along. Sensorality is apart from speciality. Dispensation is filtration. Disperse. Sensorality is dispersed. Dispersed, censored. Dispersion scatters. Sensorality is scatterality. Just ask, again, Sean Carroll, the viscous. Are Compton scattering angles, bro? Have you ever studied physics, dude? Go learn the edifice of what physics been before you try to do new stuff, dude. Matter scatters. Matter splatters. Splattering is scattering. And so now, again, we have extremely alliterative verbs that, again, effectively mean the same thing. If something splatters on the wall, like it's getting dispersed. If things are scattering, they're getting dispersed. Splattering is scattering. So again, trying to show you that fundamental differentiation of our prime syllables. But that is what I have for you today. My rights continue to be profoundly and extensively violated. A lot of linguistics today, trying to show you that there's a lot of nuance to the thing. Not a lot, but just with this irreducibility aspect, again, you just have to get to the right answer to finalize it. But my rights continue to be violated. I do not need to do one more step. I do not want to do one more step. I have been seeking asylum. I continue to seek asylum. I just want payment, and the amount of crime being committed against me, as I've said every single day as long as I've been articulating anything to anybody, not just on this video, on these videos, it's just nobody cares. Like, there's not a maturity level where anyone cares. So that is what I have for you today. Thank you for watching. Please pay me. I'm sure nobody will, and I will see you on the next one.